Alright, I got these front bits cut, so I was going to show you how I use this tool to make sure everything is the right angle. So I need to have these butt up at 137 degrees. So I set my angle finder at 137 degrees, and then I use this jig to help make sure that everything stays square. So I got it loosened, and then I basically just set it so that it's 137 degrees, which it's pretty close, and then just tighten it. So now it's tightened down and it's holding that degree, and then I'll get my two pieces and I'll set them in here, and then it allows me to slide them together, and it'll help me set up the angle so it's right. So as you can see, I cut my angle a little wrong right there, so I'll have to do a little bit of grinding to mesh that up. But I think I got it good or better on this one. Yeah, so this one's pretty good. So that butts it up, and then I'll use these to clamp it, and I'll clamp them solid, and this can make sure it keeps them level, so that I don't have them welded non-square. So it's really helpful. I think this tool is called it's called a Fireball Tools that makes them. I'll put a link in the description, but they're about 150 bucks for this square, but it's been well worth it for when I was building this frame on non-level ground, which this has really helped, because I don't have the space to build a big welding table in my garage. As you can see, it's pretty small. So I'm gonna get these welded up, and then we'll be back. All right, I'm back. Got these all done up. So I decided just to go ahead and weld these while I had them on the jigs. I know it'd keep them right in the right angle, so I won't have to deal with them flexing it all down the road. I made sure to weld it up and keep it clamped while it was welded, so that it didn't pull or twist while I was welding it. But got both these done, so now I'll get them tacked to the front of the frame, and then work on bedding the front nose bar, so that'll come up and around and over. So be back in a minute. All right, we're back again. Off camera, I added these two braces in between the front down bars. Pretty simple. All I did was just measure in between, and then hole saw out both edges, and then just tacked them in. All right, I got these tacked up. They're looking pretty square, so I'm gonna move on to the front nose bar now, which is gonna be hopefully pretty easy. There's only 2 bends on it. I'll show you what we'll be working with. So this is the bar we'll be bending. Not too bad. And then it's got a cut to fit. It'll cut to fit right there. And then same on the other side. It'll come up and hook with those where those are hole drilled or hole sawed. So it'll have a pretty downswept nose. So sitting there, you won't be able to see the nose. So sitting back where your head is, it should be about here-ish. You shouldn't even have to worry about a nose being in the way, so it should have pretty good visibility. So I'm pretty excited. But gonna work on that next. All right, got the nose piece bent. I've gotten way better at bending. As you can see, it's perfectly flat. I mean, my floor's not flat either, but I don't think there's any variance in the axis going this way. So I think I figured out how to bend stuff. So that's good. I wish I would have known when I was bending these parts though, because I'm much better at it now. But for the future, it'll be better. So I'm gonna get it fitted up and mocked up, and we'll be back. All right, finally got another update, and this has probably been the hardest part of the build so far, honestly. So notching these has been extremely hard. Where it's on a bend, the tube notcher doesn't really help. And then also there's another tube coming into it right here. So you're notching at an intersection, but one of the tubes is on a bend. So it was really tough trying to get that profile to match on both sides. And as you can see, there's probably a 1/4 inch gap. Yeah, maybe 3/8 inch gap on both sides at the top. And that's the best I could do. I mean, I worked on it for the last 4 hours trying to get those two notched right, and this is as good as I'm going to be able to get it, so we'll have to just fill that in later. Alright, we got the harness bar in. Working with one person can sometimes be tricky, so I used just some straps to help hold it in place while I tacked it in, and then we should be all good now. So I'm going to work on the X now. Be back in a minute. Alright, it has been a long time since I've made a video, probably 2 months or so. Just life got ahead of me, and you know, that's what happens. So finally got this X bar started, well, complete and tacked in. I just gonna have to weld it solid in the middle. But basically what I wanted to say is the main point of me making these videos is just to show that, you know, you can figure this stuff out and have no experience. You know, I've had 0 experience with working with metal before starting this, and it shows in the Buggy. You know, nothing on here is perfect. It's all, none of the angles are perfectly square. You know, it is what it is. So we'll just see how it turns out at the end, and if it's scrap metal, it's scrap metal, but at least I learned for the next one. So just wanted to show you that one of the struggles I have, and it's connecting these tubes together at the center. It's not easy. I've built a couple tools to try to help, and I'll show you those. But just for example, you can see that, you know, I've got a solid 1/4 inch gap right there, and not everything is perfectly in the middle. And you know, I'm gonna have to fill out with weld, or I don't know, build some sort of shim and put in there and weld the shim in. But you know, I'm okay with that, and that's the best thing, is because, you know, if you're not okay with it, then you can work on it longer. But I'm okay with it. If you guys think it's crap, then you can think it's crap. It's as good as it's gonna get for me, which I say all the time on this Buggy. But so the way I've been doing it is I built see here, where is it? Oh, I built like one of these pipe master tools, and I basically use this to gauge the profile of the pipe as it's coming in. So I, you know, make it fit in there good, and then I can open this up and slip it over a pipe, or the tube, I guess I should say, and then I can draw with Sharpie the profile out that I need to cut out, and I just cut it out with my chop saw and just a grind disc, and make it fit as good as I can. Ultimately, my problem with this one is I cut that one a little too short at first. That's why it has that gap, and then I tried to overcompensate by making that one longer. So that kind of kicked it over off center a little bit, but oh well. So just a small update then. I'm gonna work on welding those together and filling that in. If you guys have any suggestions on what to do for that in the future, leave them down in the comments, and I'll definitely try to implement that. But I'm gonna work on working on some of the rest of the bracing, and then I'll be back. All right, we're back. I haven't finished welding it all the way. I wanted to give an update on just what I got so far. So, not the best, but I'm pretty proud of myself because I was able to fill those gaps, and I didn't have to build a shim or anything. So, hopefully it holds. I'll probably hit it with a hammer and stuff and see if it cracks, and then if it starts cracking, then I'll probably either grind it out and try to re-weld it or something, but we'll see. So, small update. Be back. Kind of got carried away and went a little further than I expected, and haven't done a video yet, but I got this cross base all welded. You know, again, not perfect, but good enough for me. And then I got that first down bar put in right there, and then that next support, and then just got to do that one right there, and then the center section is done. There's a piece of 1 inch that's going to go from there to there, and then the bracing on the center should be all done, and then I'll have to do the doors but it's looking pretty square. So, you know, of course it's only based on what you can see with your eyes, but everything sits pretty square, so pretty happy with it. I'm gonna build that that next one real quick, and then we'll be back again. Alright, I just wanted to show you guys how I've been figuring out how to do these cuts. When you're mating something like this, it's really easy just to use the tube notcher, because it's, you know, you're not on an angle and it goes just fine, or, you know, or that's easy too. But when you're doing something without a tube notcher like this, where it's such a weird angle, my tube notcher doesn't really work very well for it. So I basically just have it set up in the position I want it to. I cut the one easy side first, and then this side I just created a mark right there. So if you just look at it straight this way, the mark is just a little bit into the tube. I do that just so that I can have a little bit of room to shape it, and that way I don't cut it too short. And then I did a similar mark on the bottom, and then I did another mark on this side, like right here, and that's about right in the center of the tube that I'm trying to join it to. And then I just draw a straight line from that mark to that mark, and that mark to that mark, and then I'll go over on the chop saw and I'll chop it that way, and I'll chop it that way, and then I'll just clean it up with the grinder, and then that should mate up just fine. So I'm gonna do that real quick and I'll try it again. Alright, I got it chopped. As you can see, it's, you know, it's not perfect, but I left myself room so that I can trim it. So now I'm gonna come in and see how it'll fit. Looks like I definitely need to grind it down into that area like I had marked, because it's a pretty big gap down there. And once I grind that, it should suck up flush. So I'm gonna try that out and do a little bit of smoothing, and then I'll be back. Alright, got a little bit of grinding done, and as you can see, it fits up pretty nice now. So that's right where it needs to go. There's not really a gap on the bottom. And then, as the plans say, it's just hanging over just a little teeny bit back here. So that's gonna be good. Alright, I'm not exactly sure where I left off. It's been probably 3 months since I've worked on this thing. It's been winter, so I've been snow biking all winter and not really paying attention to it. Just finally getting started back up. Hopefully gonna get this thing wrapped up this summer, but we'll see. So basically all I gotta do now, or what I'm planning on doing today, is just these door bars right here. This, I just put that bar in right there, and then the front cross braces on the roof, and then probably call it a day after that, because that'll probably take most of the day. And then after all that's done, hopefully tomorrow or next weekend, I'll be plasma cutting out the rear piece. You can stay out here. Anyway, plasma cutting out the rear piece right here so that I can do the back braces, and then also plasma cutting out the front suspension carriage piece so that I can start working on the front bracing and stuff. So hopefully by the end of next weekend I'm done with all the plasma, and then maybe done with all the bracing on the cage so I can start fully welding it, but we'll see. Alright, I'm back. I got a couple more bars in. Door bars starting to go together now. Looks like there's plenty of room. So I was worried about the buggy being a little tight, but I don't think it'll be too bad now. So on to the next ones. Alright, one door bar is done. So let me tell you what, that's probably one of the hardest parts I've had to do yet. Mating up all these pieces down here. You can see I've got probably about a 1/4 inch gap. I'm just filling it with weld, so hopefully it's strong enough, but I think it will be. Up here I'm pretty happy with how this came together. Both door sides done now. So now it's really starting to feel like a buggy in here. Of course, you know, not the greatest, but it'll get welded together and look fine. So I'm happy with it. But so that's probably where I'm going to end off this video. It's going to be all over the place, so I apologize, but it's been about 3 months since I made the last one or even touched the buggy. So if you like it, let me know. If you have any recommendations for improvement on what I can do to improve my fabrication skills. Obviously they're pretty beginner, so that'd be helpful. Thanks.